Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome in. It's Laura from Tenacious Taurus Twin Flame Tarot, and this is going to be an energy reading into this Mars retrograde energy. So, surprisingly, this really is a beneficial time for the Twin Flame Collective. So, I want to talk about the energies that we're kind of sitting in the pre-shadow energies. I want to talk about Mars retrograde and the benefits of this energy for the Twin Flames. And so we've already been in this pre-shadow energy. And so Mars has slowed right down. Many of us have been feeling very restricted, like everything is kind of coming to a standstill. And Mars will station retrograde on October 30th, the day before Halloween, which I think is going to make things interesting. Halloween is known as the Day of the Dead, where the veil is going to be very, very thin. And so Mars is staying a record time in this retrograde of 80 days. That's a long, long time. It's not going to be stationing direct until January 12th next year. And then we're going to go through the shadow period of the end of Mars retrograde. And so this is a very long time for Mars to stay in one sign. So it's going to be in the sign of Gemini for about 8 months, which is extraordinarily long. And so it's like 4 times longer than it normally would be in a certain sign. And so this energy is impacting all of us, whether you are a divine feminine, a divine masculine, a twin flame or not. We're all being impacted, and we're going to all be impacted a little bit differently depending on your zodiac sign and other placements in your birth chart, specifically where Mars falls, whether you have a Mars in Gemini or not. So you're really going to want to pay attention to your Mars placement and which house placement it falls in, because these are going to be issues that we're going to be reviewing moving forward. And so my Mars is in Leo. And you might want to pay attention to where Gemini is in the housing side. I have Gemini in my 4th house, which is deep roots, family, foundations. And so you might want to just pull your natal chart, have a look, identify what your Mars placement is and which house it lives in. And you're going to need your birth time. You can go to Cafe Astrology, AstroSeek. There's all kinds of free sites to pull your natal chart. And so have a look, because this retrograde cycle is potent. It's absolutely potent. I feel we are in the midst of one of the most potent transformative periods of 2022. And so what I've noticed is people are extra crazy lately, extra triggered, and whether it's on a personal level or not, the energy is bringing all of these conflicting situations to the surface. The energy can be very irritable, causing stress on the rise, especially when it comes to our solar plexus. And so all of these collective issues are kind of being stirred up within our own inner masculinity and within the Twin Flame Collective. And so there's really a lot going on right now. We've got a few more outer planets about to station direct. We just had the full moon in Aries, Pluto station direct. And so this is really feeling like an incredibly challenging time for many. And so I guess what we need to ask ourselves is, how can we turn these challenging times into a gift for our spiritual journey? And so what power does Mars retrograde actually hold to bring us closer to a state of inner unity and twin flame unity? And so I feel right now we're in the midst of a massive purge and upgrade. We just went through the 1010 portal, where a lot of spiritual light code activations have been downloaded. And so as we go through these upgrades, we also have to go through a major purging, a major releasing when it comes to these old, dense shadow aspects, especially in the masculine collective. And so all of these old ego identities, ego patterns, these old outworn program beliefs are coming up to be purged, specifically in the masculine twin. And so a lot of these masculines have been all up in their ego. They've been playing small, playing into their 3D self, and their ego is definitely being challenged over the coming months. And so we're all going to experience this Mars retrograde a little bit differently. It's all going to depend, like I said, on your Mars placement, the house placement, and the state of inner harmony that you've already achieved, right? And so this is when all of these dense, toxic patterns are being pushed to the surface. so we can face them and release them. We can't clear or heal anything if we're not willing to look it straight in the face. And so we're being presented this opportunity to shift into these higher states of consciousness, not only within the Twin Flame Collective, but as an individual and as a society at whole. And so those that are already experiencing a state of inner harmony, we're not going to find this period extra troublesome. We might have some very low vibrational programming in our system still that kind of needs to be purged. It's almost like a little hiccup in the road moving forward and some minor challenges. So I feel a lot of the masculines in the collective are dealing with this deep-seated separation programming, and they're processing all of these stored emotions of guilt, shame, and anything that's, you know, prevented them from stepping into their true power and owning that solar plexus, right? And so I feel a lot of the twins are going to be extra triggered during this period if you haven't reached that state of inner unity, inner harmony. And so it doesn't mean if you're already with your counterpart that you're going to go into separation. But it's this energy of feeling separate or feeling like you're under karmic judgment. And this can lead to blame and resentment that's coming up. And all of these festering emotions below the surface are likely boiling over for a massive clearing. And so this whole process with Mars retrograde is like basically spring cleaning on a massive level. And we do need to remember we're going into eclipse season again. We've got the new moon eclipse in Scorpio, and then we're going to have the full moon eclipse in Taurus. And so all of this is happening at a massive global level. This spiritual scrub, this spiritual purification is happening for our higher purpose. And so Spirit is telling us it's time to wrap up these old karmic timelines and to prepare for these new world, new earth energies of unity consciousness. And so the masculine twin, above all, is undergoing the deepest transformation process from the inside out, especially those masculines that have their Mars in Gemini. And so these energies aren't here to bring you down. They're here to help you transform, to uplift your connection with everybody that you're connected with. And so the universe is saying it's time to push your ego aside. It's time for this reformation. And so we're being asked to work with the energies to lean into the cleansing process so we can release all of these separation triggers and any blocks that keep coming up on the journey, so we can improve these connections long term and in a very positive way, not only for our own lives, but for the collective mission. And so a lot of benefits to the process, no matter what it feels like, even if you're in this state of turmoil or feeling stuck, like there's no way out of a situation that you've created. We always have the power to shift our conscious perspective, to make those very clear intentions, and to focus on the highest good. And so this is a time of up-leveling your connection to Source and up-leveling your connection with your counterpart. But we have to hold the highest vision of the masculine twin's highest self. And so we need to remember who they really are as a soul, not who they are in their ego defenses in the 3D reality. And that's going to lead to reactions and negativity, because a lot of these masculines wear a mask, right? They're afraid to be emotionally vulnerable. They're afraid to be authentic. And so all of these masks, all of these ego defenses are being stripped bit by bit with this retrograde process. And so the feminine counterpart can do a lot to help the masculine twin at this time by clearing any old emotional baggage that you're still holding on to, or any collective negativity that is passing through you that is being worked to be released. That is where the feminine has done all of this inner work, right? So the feminine, I feel, is being asked to allow the soul to help her, allow the soul to guide her, because we can't ever make the masculine counterpart do the inner work, but we can always connect on the higher astral planes. And I feel we're in for like these major transformations. Results are around the corner, and all of these karmic energies are working with us, not against us. So what we resist will keep persisting. And so I feel a lot of the feminines are learning to be their own best friend. I think the masculines are going to be given this chance to rethink how they function, how they look at themselves, where they have been self-sabotaging, where they have lacked integrity and have held on to this inner negativity, fear of criticism, fear of being judged. All of these energies are being highlighted. And so the masculine twin likely is being affected the most. And so I feel a lot of them are working on forgiveness of self, practicing non-judgment, and figuring out who it is they really want to be. I don't think they really know who they want to be because they've been so focused on all of these outsider karmic attachments and outsider validations that have prevented them from clearing these negative past karmic timelines. And so we all kind of got to be our own best friend no matter what, right? Outside person or not, we are all on a journey of inner wholeness, inner completeness. And so I feel we got to stop being at war with ourselves, right? You have to be your own friend, not your own enemy. And whatever we've got going on within is definitely going to be reflected in our outer world. And so we always attract back what we put out there. And so this is a time of being gentle with yourself and kind of just taking this process day by day when it comes to any negative issues or emotional baggage that is arising for clearing, because we are on the precipice of, you know, reaching that new dawn, that new beginning, and a new way of being, you know. So I think there's going to be a lot of repercussions coming up when it comes to the lack of reciprocity on the masculine side. And so the feminine is being asked to keep raising your vibration. And so as Mars goes retrograde, the feminine counterpart is still moving ahead, right? Later in the month, we're going to have Venus entering into Scorpio. And so that's going to really push any negativity to the surface. And it's going to really put the pressure on to resolve these energy blocks and these hang-ups for good. And so we can't move into these higher states if we're constantly pushing against the grain, swimming against the current, and that creates more uncomfortable energies for us to sit in. And so this really is the perfect opportunity to clear this long-standing karma, these karmic soul contracts, and these negative attachments, so we can be open to unity consciousness. And so I feel the masculines are going to be forced to confront, heal, and resolve these past life connections over this retrograde, especially when it comes to the false marriage contracts. And, you know, this isn't just going to happen by magic by itself. These energies are getting stirred up permanently, but it is up to the masculine to choose to resolve them. And so the feminine can push and clear away these ego blocks all she wants, but if the masculine keeps his soul self from being fully present, we're going to have a difficult time in these energies. And so it's like this big time invitation. The universe has been nudging the masculine for a very long time to stop focusing on what truly doesn't matter. And he's been invited into, you know, answering the call in this highest vision. And I feel right now we're in this energy of a lot of cosmic tough love from the universe in order for the masculine to strengthen himself at the soul level and to reach resolve. And so I feel a lot of darkness is rising up for the masculine counterpart in order to choose this higher path moving forward. We all have free will. The angels, the guides will not interfere with free will choices. And so be aware of that, Divine Feminine. Be aware of your intentions, your choice, who you choose to interact with. Everything we ingest, mind, body, and soul, will create patterns. So if you find yourself spiraling in an old conflicting pattern or negativity is showing up, notice what doesn't work, what works, stay conscious, and choose to invite in these higher light codes, because I feel we're being pushed to step into self-mastery. We all are capable of self-mastery, and so these energies are pushing us to master self-discipline. So I feel addictions are coming up to be addressed. I feel we're being shown what we need to adjust when it comes to these negative repetitive patterns and, you know, the masks we wear to deal with any life issues. And so we got to become conscious of this if we're to release this operating on this programmed autopilot out of these old beliefs. And so A lot of us take on these outdated beliefs from others in our childhood, whether it's our parents, our peers, our teachers. And so all of this needs to be cleared away, especially when it comes to low self-worth issues. And so I feel the masculine's being confronted with self-worth issues and kind of fighting his own shadows in this toxic karmic relationship and playing into all of these old dynamics, which really have not only hurt the masculine, but hurt the karmic and hurt the divine feminine and any kids that kind of got wrapped up in the mix of this journey. And so I feel the masculine's set on a pathway to learn about himself, how he truly interacts with people, and where he has been carrying this victimhood mentality, this victimhood complex, and all of these issues of blaming everybody else for everything going wrong in their lives without even realizing it. And so a lot of the masculines do this unconsciously, and now all of this is kind of being illuminated and unveiled so the masculine can recognize that he has created what he has in his life, what needs to be released, because all of these old conflicting reactions and interactions have been a block to true love. And so the masculine is being pushed to take accountability, to take responsibility. And I think he's feeling like he's in a very tough, sticky situation at this time. And so he's being asked to open up to receiving love at the deepest level from the feminine. And so it's almost like this energy of being forced to go within. I wouldn't be surprised if we go into more lockdowns, to be honest. And so we're being pushed to go within so we can own our inner strength. And so this is going to be a time where many of the masculines will be forced to slow down, maybe even experience job loss. Things are going to come to a dead stop. They're not going to be able to reach any goals. They're going to be blocked until resolution is reached. And so they are going to be forced to go within. They can't keep chasing outside validation. When they're chasing outside validation, they're not in their power. They can't truly attract their desires. And so this is a time of the masculine focusing on balancing and restoring himself at the soul level, so we can have those positive outer transformations. And so when we use this retrograde energy well, we can harmonize these relationships, right? And we can clear all of this heavy karmic debt and uplift these connections. And so a lot of the masculines have been shown their true purpose, but they need to cleanse away their lower ego self and all of these programmed blocks. And so the cosmic energies are assisting the masculine to ascend during this time. I also feel a lot of telepathic reconnection. I feel the masculine is tapping into the telepathic connection, which will create this energy of the feminine feeling temporarily blocked from the telepathy. I know a lot of the feminines that I've been in contact with, we feel completely detached. The masculine's energy is gone, out the door. It's like we've been freed from these contracts. And so there's going to be a lot, I feel, of astral interactions. There's going to be a lot of issues with the solar plexus coming up. So I feel the masculines might be struggling eating, feeling, nauseated, because of all of the guilt and the shame and these underlying blocks that are being opened up and pushed to the surface. And so this rebalancing of the solar plexus and the ego, all of these low dense energies is happening. And like I said, it's going to affect each counterpart a little bit differently. And so this is where we can get closer to one another telepathically. And so we all have to do this soul work, though. We can't, avoid this. We can't spiritually bypass integrating and releasing the lower ego. And so a lot of the physical world in the masculine is riddled with these toxic connections, which have prevented him from experiencing true love. And so these karmic connections are being asked to be severed for good with this Mars retrograde. Any past sexual connections are likely going to return to the masculine counterpart some way, shape, or form in order for him to resolve these issues. And so it could be a past life contract that you've not even met this life. I feel a lot is showing up for the masculine twin for resolution. It's the energy of tying up these loose ends once and for all, cutting those cords, clearing these old karmic contracts, any false marriage vows or promises from past lives made under duress. And so I feel union can't happen unless both of the counterparts have cleared these outsider attachments, even from past lives. And so I feel the feminine's at a divine advantage because we are the awakened twin. And so although this period isn't going to be easy breezy, we hold an instrumental part of opening up the path to harmony for the masculine. And so we're in the midway cycle of releasing all of these old karmic timelines. We've been striving towards this for several years now, and so I feel the masculine's facing all kinds of opposition, conflicts, and issues in order to shine light on these negative vices over the coming months. And so the feminine holds this secret power because we are the awakened twin. We know it's never just about us or them. We understand at a deeper level who we are, what this connection is, and what we need to do to stay focused, right? Because everything we do does affect the counterpart. And so we have this gift, we're awakened. And so if we set those pure intentions, this will allow the shift to take place a little bit more easily. And so we have the divine power to change things around us, but we have to believe in that. And so there are certain things I think we need to all watch out for this Mars retrograde. There's going to be a lot of triggers to create conflict. There's going to be a lot of sacred rage and anger boiling to the surface. I feel a lot of the masculines are struggling dealing with sexual issues. I feel they're very irritated, they're very impatient, and almost aggressive. And so we're going to want to be aware of that. We're not going to want to play into any power struggles or arguments, especially when it comes to sexual imbalances. And so a lot of the masculines are going to be facing setbacks. They're going to have to deal with, the mistakes that they've made. They're going to be facing all kinds of delays and oppositions from others, which will create this challenging energy of feeling like the masculine isn't supported at all by anybody. And so this is kind of the energy of what goes around comes around, because in the beginning of the journey, the feminine was left at rock bottom, abandoned in this very difficult energy. And now the roles have been reversed. So I do feel a lot of digestive issues coming up because of the solar plexus energy. So you might have eating issues, sleeping issues, anything to do with the Mars domain in the chakra system, which is the solar plexus. That is where we find the strength to take action. And so healing and clearing your chakras daily is going to help immensely. I do it twice a day, and so you're going to find you're likely going to feel a little bit more tired, might even sink into feelings of depression and hopelessness, feeling uninspired and lacking that drive, that energy. Because as we tune it up, we kind of have to process these new energies, right? And so get ready to feel tired. Get ready to feel like things are slowing down, and it might feel a little bit hopeless, but this is all due to karmic past life content being stirred up for clearing. And so all of these karmic contracts are supposed to be coming to an end as the masculine purges these karmic patterns and harnesses his true benevolent solar plexus power. He will be led away from the temptation of these karmic connections. And so I feel by the end of the retrograde and shadow period into next spring, all of these karmic connections will have ended and will reach resolution. And I feel all of these energies are reinforcing the masculine. This person that you are involved with is not good for you. And so this karmic pattern is entrenched so deeply in our subconscious beliefs that it will stay with us until we bring it out and clear it. Otherwise, we keep calling back the same karmic pattern with a different face, right? And so it's like being stuck on this repeat loop, like Groundhog Day, over and over. And so we have to acknowledge what doesn't work. We have to acknowledge what does work. And we have to work with these energies if we are to reach resolution. And so people are going to be reacting for sure out of their triggers over the coming months. It's going to really highlight the running, chasing issues. And the twin flame journey really isn't like running and chasing after each other. It's all done energetically. And so all this latent programming and these energy blocks are being stirred up, creating a very uncomfortable energy of reevaluating where we need to take action towards. And so the masculine's really been dealing with these power control issues, playing into this victimhood where they want to dominate others, or they've got these controlling attitudes which are likely going to flare up, pushing for this internal introspection. The masculine needs to get to know himself at the soul level if he's to understand the blocks and the hang-ups. And so this is going to keep being pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed because a lot of the masculines like to dominate people, right? And they can really react very negatively during this influence. And so I feel their libido might even go bloop down the tube. I think they're losing their sense of power and they're feeling like something is missing. And so I feel, and maybe the masculine will overact on sexual conquests and impulses. Mars in Gemini wants to prove themselves. They enjoy engaging in ego battles and they like to have their hand in all kinds of little pots. And so it doesn't matter how many sexual conquests they get through, they're always going to feel like something is missing because there's more to life than a sexual connection. There's more to life than money. And so somebody needs to hear that. And I also want to say, if you or somebody you're dealing with feels the need to prove themselves on the outside, that is a clear indication that there's a deep sense of inner lack. When you understand who you are and you have done the inner child healing work, you don't prove yourself to anybody. You allow your integrity to speak for itself. And so what not to do. Do not freak out. Do not freak out is a big message because of all of these lower ego desires being stirred up. Don't make assumptions. What appears to be true in the 3D reality is likely an illusion. Don't rush into anything and don't allow your frustrations to get the best of you. Don't jump back in with an ex unless you're absolutely sure it's the right person for you. And don't feed into any fear-based energy or even fear about your twin being with somebody else because that fear will get pushed onto them and it will only reinforce the energy of you manifesting your twin going towards somebody else. And so it's not a good time to start new creative projects. It's kind of a really good time to do research, to expand upon your gifts, but you don't want to give up on what it is you've been wanting either. So it's going to be a very interesting time period. We're not going to want to play into power struggles. You're going to want to be definitely honest. You're not going to want to be dishonest because that's going to create more karmically imbalanced behavior. Dishonesty is never, ever good. Anger and blame is never, ever good. You're only going to get more of the same. So when you project anger towards another, you're going to feel that back tenfold. When you blame another for the shit that's going on in your life, you're going to have like 10 fingers pointed back at you. And so the universe is saying, we're learning by these forceful energies. And so a lot of outside opposition gets us to understand our inner truth, right? And so the truth of the matter is we are all connected as one universal consciousness. We all hold a piece of the puzzle. And so when you send out hatred or anger or blame to somebody else, all you're doing is pushing that energy back on you. What you send out always comes back, right? And so when you send out hatred, anger, and blame, that is also a form of black magic, whether you are intentionally doing that or not. And so when you send out anger and hatred and blame towards your counterpart, you better bet you're going to feel the backlash of those energies. And so I feel that's kind of what's going on with the masculine. And so the feminine needs to avoid these triggers. It doesn't matter if you're together or not. We're in a massive clearing, right? And so we're always trying to work together to bring unity into this connection. So we can step into experiencing true love, and not all of these physical toxic connections that we have repeated throughout our lifetimes and all of our past lives. And so when we are in this inner state of harmony, we can process all of this a little bit easier. And so I think look at how you assert yourself. Don't let your ego drag you down into, you know, a power struggle with other people unless you want more of the same thrown into your face. You have to be willing to forgive the past. We can't move forward if we've not made peace with the past, and that is a huge, huge message. Not all battles are worth the fight. Walk away, right? And when we play into worry, anger, and resentment, then we're using our energy to create something we really don't want. We're not here to keep fighting the old world. We're here to build a new one. It's not about fighting against the old. It is about manifesting the new. And so if you find yourself struggling, clear your energy daily. Journal, meditation. I cannot stress meditation, how useful that will be throughout this process, and getting out there and getting your body moving, because, you know, the chakras are in constant motion. And when we slow right down, everything gets sludged up, and then all of these blocks come in. And so we're all kind of being asked to do our inner work, to confront our shadows, to confront our fears, and to get us back into a more positive position. And so this is a peak time for triggering. It's also a great time for clearing anything that's been holding us back. And so another thing, I think, the masculine has bottled up these feelings for so very long. He's going to have a hard time expressing them in a healthy way. And that's why I say exercise your creative rights, your journaling, anything creative, right? Because all of these repressed emotions have to be released somehow. And so if you're finding you're in a relationship and it's lost its spark, maybe it is only temporary, maybe it's not, but I want to say sometimes it's just best to walk away. If you keep dealing with the same issues, facing the same confrontational people over and over, and it doesn't matter how you respond, it only seems to make things worse, then I think it's best to just walk away and leave. It doesn't matter if that's your counterpart or anybody you're connected to. And so energy healing work is about doing the conscious inner shadow integration. And so we can transform at any point in time in our lives, but this is a time of struggle to break free and to expand. And so I feel a lot of the feminines are going to sail through this retrograde very, very smoothly. And any issues cropping up are really to get you to ask if it's really worth it. So any unconscious expressions are from outdated patterns. And so always allow what's showing up to be cleared. We are here to bridge heaven on earth, but in order to do that, we have to bridge our lower ego with our higher divine self. And that's what this is all about, I feel. Being that bridge, connecting with our soul, working to become a better person. The person that we've always longed to be, the person that we know we are at the soul level. And so get ready to go within. Allow your guides to get you through this very challenging time. We can make major strides as a collective, but we have to be willing to dig deep, right? So I got the major tingles again for some reading, for some reason, reading. Oh my God, I'm going to do a reading. So let's pull in with some cards. And let's see what we can expect for the masculine twin during this retrograde. Poisons and spells. A lot of the masculines have been drinking poison. They've been putting all of this anger, resentment, and blame towards the feminine, and they've been drinking poison from their cup. And so I feel, I also feel the veil of illusion has been lifted, and all of that fog, which has kind of been dwelling around the masculine, is being lifted, and now they kind of have to swallow all of this truth. It is the energy of blood being spilled, and I think get ready for a major, major emotional storm to brew to the surface. So coming of winter, I do feel we're going into this collective dark night of the soul. And this is where I feel a lot of the karmics are mirroring to the masculine this darkness. So I feel a lot of the masculines are going to be going into the dark night of the soul if they haven't already been in that energy. Ooh, beautiful. And we're going to come out this retrograde resurrected, rebirth. And so there's a death energy going on for the masculine collective at this time to awaken them to this mighty rising that they're here to embrace. And so rebirth by fire, the resurrection of the cosmic coming of Christ consciousness is what I also feel. So rebirth energy. We're going to see what else needs to come through. Divination. Beautiful energies coming through. And so the masculine is going to receive all kinds of insights if he chooses to go into this inner state of reflection and to allow his inner light to guide him. The dark moon came out in reverse, so I do feel something about the eclipses coming up is really going to push the masculine into the darkness of his heart. So he's being asked to release all of these phantom energies from the past. It is a 13. Oh, so that's so interesting. 3113, so mirror, mirror image, right? And right between it is karmic debt 14. So, pardon me, breaking the bondage, right? Embracing karmic freedom. And the cauldron. So I do feel all of these bubbling desires are kind of brewing to the surface. I also feel a lot of the feminines are really being asked to go into their spiritual divination, their spiritual practice, to really honor that. And then we get the broom. So it's this energy of clearing. Clearing needs to be done. So it's this energy of making room, making way for these connections. Oh my gosh, haunted. And I feel a lot of the masculines are haunted by the past. And then we get the graveyard. And so there's that death energy. It is knowing that it's the end of these karmic timelines and acknowledging the crossroads, right? Acknowledging their inner healer and the connection with their ancestors. I feel a lot of the masculines, we have these very deep roots with human history, human patterning. And so all of these hidden vows made in silence are, you know, bring the masculine to this state of nakedness. And so the ancestors have awakened the masculine, and he's being asked to listen. I feel he's bleeding on the inside, and he's asking for mercy. And so I feel this huge mirror has been placed in front of the masculine when it comes to the veil of illusion being shattered. And so swallowing their pride, sitting in that truth, and going through this very intense transformation. And so all of these emotional storms that he's hidden within his heart are arising deep from within, because he's not honored the elders and the contract. And so this rebirth, it's like the seed within the belly. And the moon energy is, you know, taking over the masculine's heart, is what I'm feeling. And he's deep within the underworld. There is a big, big shift near, and he knows it. He's being asked to take that leap of faith and to go into the underworld. I also feel he's haunted by the past. He's haunted by the feminine's reflection. His eyes were wide shut, and now they are wide open. I feel this maddening of the mind as all of these truths come forward, these unspoken truths. It's like the energy of a bleeding tongue, and it's like the floor is caving beneath him. I feel everything feels like the walls are caving in, and I do feel he's feeling completely alone, haunted in his own reflection, and I feel definitely getting uprooted into the dark night of the soul. So let's keep going with some other energies. We're going to see the past life lessons that are coming up, laborers. So I do know a lot of these masculines, they work. They use work as a mask. They work long hours. They overextend themselves and overexert themselves physically. And I feel a lot of the masculines might experience a job loss so they can go into owning these emotions. They have been holding back their feelings and holding back their self-expression for a very long time. And I feel that is what is needed for this liberation. So we're going to see what past life lessons are going to be coming up over this coming retrograde for the masculine, and there's that self-expression. And so they've really dishonored themselves. They've dishonored themselves with these negative thoughts by not honoring their emotions that are uniquely theirs. I feel a lot of the masculines are feeling very alone. The cosmic energies are leading them into this very solitary, alone time. And I feel they're desperately in need of the healing hands of the feminine. I feel devastation. They might be dealing with some health and wellness issues, poverty, and definitely going into that mother wound, right? And so I know from my own journey, the masculine has, you know, a mother crossed over. And so I do feel this death energy. I feel a lot of the masculines are very jealous and envious of the feminine's successes. And they need to understand they themselves are responsible for their own failures. They're going to have to take initiative, right? I do feel a death energy here for sure. And I feel a lot of the masculines are going to be feeling very lethargic, very lazy over the coming retrograde because they've not been keeping a healthy mind, a healthy body. They've really not been active, and they've not been living in purpose. And so they're really needing to honor their self-expression. A lot of the counterparts are here to specialize in, you know, their gifts and to bring that into a business of some sort. And so I think this deep understanding of you and your divine counterpart. And so we did come here to raise the vibration of the earth, to teach others how to raise their vibration. And so it is this deep recognition of this connection and our ancient origins, right? Many of us have lived many, many lifetimes throughout many different timelines, and this is where all of these gifts come from, right? The wisdom. And so the lesson the masculine is learning over this retrograde is humility and self-worth. And so their lesson is to practice acceptance, to release their arrogance is a big one, and to accept that they have created everything in their life that is kind of happening right now. And so self-worth is a big issue. They lack a lot of self-worth. A lot of these masculines are learning to unguard their heart. Their lack of openness has led them down the pathway of these unreciprocal, unhealthy relationships. And if the masculine wants reciprocity and a healthy foundation, he's going to have to learn to give freely from the heart without expectations. He's going to have to learn to share himself with others, and he's going to have to learn to release this sacred rage when it comes to this wounding. And so a lot of the masculines are learning to control their negative reactions, I feel. They're going to be dealing with all kinds of negative situations, and this is where they learn to lead with love, even if it's not returned. And so there's a lot of wounding coming up that is being transcended when it comes to these negative karmic experiences and timelines. And all of these wounds have shaped the masculine up until now, and they have defined him and they have limited him. And he's needing to transcend them in order to, you know, accept this crowning. Accept the crowning. And we are here to release all of these ancestral family burdens. We've chose to incarnate in certain family structures to change the course of certain family patterns, right? And so we can't change the patterns until we recognize the patterns and we heal the wounds at the core level. And we are doing this for the future generations, right? And so this is a time of stepping into mastery. We have learned a lot over the thousands of lifetimes that we have incarnated. And this is the lifetime where people are to look for us for advice and guidance because we intuitively just kind of know, right? And so I think gender issues, gender role issues are definitely coming up over the retrograde to be dealt with. And so look at that, that just kind of flipped out. Our connection still affects me, and so right now the masculine is blocked. Whether you've been speaking negatively about the connection or he has, there's a lot of blocks because they do feel the masculine's entrenched in this process of closing out all of these old karmic soul contracts, and he's in this power struggle, conflicting energy stemming from this past life karma. And so I do feel meditation is really going to allow the feminine to to grow. And so right now I feel a lot of the masculines are still dealing with a karmic partner. And so that karmic partner is pushing both of the twins to grow, right? And I also feel the karmic partner is part of the masculine's awakening process when it comes to being conscious of these patterns, and that we are here to embrace unconditional love. That is ultimately our mission, right? Is to reach unconditional love, and that's going to allow us to have that uplifting path. So I do feel the feminine's inner work is paying off. And I feel the delays and the challenges are the masculine needing to admit that this still affects him. I don't feel the masculines are ready yet to come forward. They've got a lot of cords to cut, right? And so right now they're going through a very dark internal process of disillusionment. Tapping into the other realities, I feel, other soulful existences, and they have to cut these cords. They have to cut these attachments if we are to step into unconditional love. And so that's what we're here to do, right? There's always eternal love between us. There is eternal love between all that is connected. And so it is a matter of embracing that, right? And so right now I feel there's a lot of fear being stirred up in the masculine's life. I feel he's digging for information, maybe researching the twin flame connection. A lot of fear-based energy creating conflict. And so this is where it's like decision time, right? The masculine's going to have to make a choice. I also feel the feminine's been sending mixed signals to the universe. I know a lot of the feminines have called in a very, very easy soulmate connection, a true pair, right? A true pair. And so when we make a choice to maybe go down a soulmate path, that is sending the universe mixed signals. So it's a time of deciding what it is we want. I also feel the masculine's going into this inner child healing, self-love and meditation. And so all of these unresolved childhood wounds and issues are coming up, and it is the process of re-alchemizing the heart and allowing stillness as all of this comes into our awareness, and the answers are always going to be found within, right? So let's get some star code astro oracle messages. I don't know if that's what it's called, but we're going to see what some main astrology aspects are for the masculine. So the first house, the arrival, so opening the pathway to these past life relationship cycles, ascending the karma. If you look at the card, it's like the stag, so the rise of the true benevolent counterpart, and then we get the 7th house below that, so relationship issues, right? Facing our codependencies, where we have been chained to something that's not healthy for us, and ascending it. And so right now I feel a lot of the masculines have been involved in some type of karmic social circle under the veil of illusion. They've really been misguided. You know, they're afraid of, you know, breaking free. It is the energy, though, if you look, of the masculine, the feminine, and then this third hand of spirit, right? And so I feel the masculine is grasping from the underworld. The feminine is there, and spirit is trying to lift both of the twins up. And so a lot to do with community and perception. Where did I put that book? Let's read out of the book, and then we will jump in with some tarot. So there's that Gemini energy, cross-pollination, and finding that passion, right? The 5th house deals with children, passion, also where we take risks. And so I feel the masculine's in this very debilitating, discomforting reevaluation. 2 paths are being presented, and he's going to have to make a decision, right? And so let's talk about the 11th house, because this is collective energy. This is the spiritual community. And so right now, the masculine, you know, has been seeking all of these answers from a very karmic social circle. And so he's being asked to move into a spiritual circle and to, you know, find mutual respect. I don't think he's dealing with people that actually respect him. And so he's been negatively affected by the group he's connected with, is what I'm feeling. And if he wants to improve his life, he's going to have to deepen his relationship with himself first, right? And so all of this pressure with that karmic relationship I think something is being unfolded very organically over this retrograde, because the masculine is being asked to build a stable circle of friends, not friends that gossip. Wherever he's at, these friends are not meeting his needs, and so he's going to need to get honest about what it is he really wants for his life. We can choose to stay in these lower cycles. It is the split energy, right? We are going into this massive timeline split where Earth is going to be in two different densities, 3D and 5D. And so he needs to get really honest about what's really going on in that karmic relationship. And I feel he's questioning all of his friendships because I don't think there's a lot of trust there, right? And so big challenges when it comes to maybe one-on-one intimacy. A lot of these masculines only think for themselves, right? And so healthy communication is definitely going to be needed over this retrograde period. So let's jump in with the tarot and see what else needs to come through. So there's the masculine, right? I'm not taking this chance. The Palace of Wands, this is like, wow, huge divine inspiration, ignoring it. The Hanged Man in reverse, Pisces energy. I'm not going to change. I don't need to look at this differently. I'm stuck. I'm stubborn. My way or the highway. And I think getting a wake-up call, right? So the Hanged Man goes within and gains those insights. A lot of these masculines have played the victim, played the martyr, and they don't see anything wrong with it, right? And this is all about accountability. So we'll do 9 cards and we'll see what energies are going to be coming through for the masculine over this retrograde. And this can also apply to your own inner masculine energy. So do keep that in mind. Divine feminine. So we get the 9 of Swords, the Palace of Cups reversed, the Chariot. So there is going to be movement. This is the masculine really taking control of his emotions. The Strength reversed, the 3 of Swords reversed, the 7 of Cups. There's that disillusionment, right? And so there's the ego, lacking the strength. A lot of these masculines are afraid to go into feeling this on the heart. They're afraid of that, right? They're afraid to feel the pain of separation, and it has to be felt. And so I also feel they're afraid to look at all of the cups they chose over the feminine. We get the Queen of Coins, the Divine Feminine coming through, the Ace of Pentacles in reversed, and the Queen of Cups in reversed. And so I do feel a lot of the Karmics have really emotionally blackmailed and manipulated the Divine Masculine. And this very well could lead to a huge missed opportunity when it comes to these unions. The masculine needs to go into the heart. He's not willing to go into the heart right now. I feel he's all stuck up in his head. Like, oh, it just feels like so scattered, so confusing. Like he's being haunted, not sleeping. All of these energies from the past are haunting the masculine, creating this foggy illusion, right? And so I also feel the karmic energy has tried to emotionally manipulate, right? And it's the energy of like, I don't even know what the hell's in that cup. I've been drinking poison. And I feel this really is the energy of like, if you look at how these cards come out, the feminine's all done. She's not looking back at that. She's like, you can keep the masculine. I want nothing to do with you. I also feel a major job loss. As part of this realignment. I also feel the spark is gone. A lot of these masculines, I feel, are struggling with impotency issues. There's going to be a major realignment. So let's look at the 9 of Swords, the Hanged Man reversed, the 6 of Pentacles, the Sun, and the Page of Cups. And that's the masculine refusing to apologize. I don't owe anybody an apology. I didn't do nothing wrong. There is going to be a rebalancing. It is the energy of karmic debt needing to be paid off, Libra, and shifting that perspective. And so coming to a place of Jesus consciousness. And so the Sun is coming in, illuminating. You know, the masculine just wants to win, 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 right? And by controlling the feminine, by withdrawing emotions is what I'm feeling. And ultimately, that's a reflection of him not feeling worthy. And so I think healing from the truth of the fact that he really self-sabotaged all of this that's happening. Like he self-sabotaged, he went into all of these negative patterns, and having to sit in that truth. And I do feel like fear of bringing forward an apology of not being accepted because of the rejection wounding. And so let's take a look at the Seven of Cups, because this is the disillusionment that's going to be taking place. And we get the Justice, the Three of Coins reversed, the Nine of Wands, ooh, the Queen of Swords reversed, the Two of Cups. So I feel what goes around comes around. I do feel he's dealing with somebody very vengeful, very bitter. There's definitely no more working together in that contract. There's no harmony. We got Capricorn, we got air, we got Libra, and we get the wounded healer. So I feel really going into the depths of these wounds, right? And finding that rebalancing. And the wound is, you know, the rejection of this divine union is what I'm feeling. And, you know, the blocked communication, the unwilling to communicate, and the lack of faith, the lack of listening to a higher power. So Taurus energy. And so there's going to have to be a conversation about this missed opportunity. But I feel the Divine Feminine isn't even looking at this. So let's take a look at this Queen of Coins, because that is feeling like the Divine Feminine. Yeah, she's not even looking back. I feel the Feminines are releasing the stagnancy. The Feminine is ready to plant those seeds somewhere new with somebody that will be loyal and reciprocal, right? The Feminine, I feel, is done feeling stuck. And I also feel the Feminine has faced her fears. And I also feel breaking free from the illusion of being entrapped in this cycle, right? So the Feminine is releasing the masculine is what I'm feeling. Releasing the illusion of thinking that this was my happily ever after, and breaking free from the trauma bond. Breaking free from the bondage, and the Feminine is stepping into all kinds of fortune. The Feminine's got luck on her side, I feel, and the Feminine is getting ready to plant those seeds in another direction is kind of what I'm feeling. So let's take a look at the Queen of Cups in reversed. The Star, the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands in reversed, and she's going to get a wake-up call too. So I do feel irreversible change. There's definitely going to be a breakdown, and the masculine will not be able to rebuild in that karmic contract. I also feel healing the masculine's immaturity. That's what she was kind of put on his path, right? To reflect all of this emotional immaturity, to get the masculine to do the right thing. I do feel that was a healing connection for the masculine in regards to mirroring all of these shortcomings. I also feel the karmic, you know, has emotionally clung. I feel emotional immaturity. I feel this Queen of Cups in reversed is very immature with her communications. Emotions all over the place. And maybe she's going to be quickly departing this situation because she wants healing too. I also feel she's been in a period of extended grieving, not understanding why the masculine cannot emotionally connect with her because he's been grieving over the missed opportunity, right? And so a lot is coming to light. It is the energy of get ready for irreversible change. The Tower reversed for me is also an internal shift, as within, so without. And so when our whole internal belief system crumbles, everything externally kind of has to be washed away as well. So let's get a couple last messages with the Crystal Stone deck. And see what else the guides want me to be aware of and us to be aware of with this Mars retrograde channeled message. I think we can make major strides together, or we can make major strides apart. That's all going to be up to you. And so right now, I feel the feminine is absolutely magnetically attractive. And the masculine is dreading these long winter nights is what I'm feeling. And so all these masculines gave chase to love, money, power, and greed. And they've not really been applying themselves spiritually. And so I feel the feminine is ready to just get things done. It's like pedal to the metal for the feminine, I feel. We also have Be Your Own Mama, upgrade your version of you, go with your heart and stretch the limits of your imagination. And so The masculine is going to have to mother himself. He's in such a karmic entanglement, surrounded by all of this propagated fear, all of these karmic complexities. And I feel like it doesn't matter what he says, he can't find the right words. He's going to be getting into a lot of arguments, I feel. And so this is where he has to consciously choose to put in the work on himself. And he's going to likely go through an existential crisis in order to release these bad habits, that negative karmic relationship. And so all of this light is being shone down on all of the masculine's weaknesses so he can work on them. And I feel he's going to have to hold his heart and learn how to breathe without the feminine. He's going to have to go into the depths of the pain. He's going to have to clear up all of these blocked channels of communication and untangle himself from that karmic debris. And he's going to have to remember, like, hey, we're grown-ups now. We're not children anymore. We're grown-ups, right? And so to be emotionally vulnerable is a strength, and we can't keep looking at other people to parent us. We have to reparent our own inner child. And so I do feel going into the heart, understanding how much time he has potentially wasted playing games, right? And so I do feel nothing's going to feel rosy for the masculine over this retrograde. He's got his life in this little cubicle, and he's definitely being brought down for sure. But this is where he drops the ego, he drops the people-pleasing facade, and he starts doing the inner work. And I feel he's ready to do the inner work, but he has to actually choose this. Otherwise, things are going to keep spinning rapidly out of control. And I also feel with Stretch the Limit. So he's been planning this escape from the confines of that karmic contract, I feel. And the energy is encouraging the masculine to leave this old karmic reality behind and to visit the divine feminine, I feel, to take action. He is being called to ignite his spiritual practice and to bring it to another level with the divine feminine, because he can't keep staying stuck in something that isn't working. If it's not working, it's not working. You can't make it work. You can't force it. If you have to force a relationship, then it's probably not the relationship for you, right? And so there's comfort in the safe zone and the status quo, but really comfortable isn't what allows us to tap into these infinite possibilities. And so there's unfinished business here. And like a major reality check is coming, I feel. And so I think get ready to arm up in your spiritual warrior energy this retrograde, whether you're the divine masculine or the divine feminine. Somebody's crossed over the line is what I'm feeling. And this chain around the masculine's neck is getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And so a lot of the masculines have fallen prey to these emotional vampires, right? And they don't even know how to break free. They are here to embark on this spiritual journey with the divine feminine. So it's like picking themselves up off the floor and knowing that they have what it takes to make a difference. That's really what I feel is going on here. So pay attention to the signs and the synchronicities. Follow the signs and the syncs. And trust, the messages coming through, because we all have to understand the signs and the syncs for our own personal journey, right? And no two twin flame journeys are the same. And so I do think follow the signs and the syncs. Really work on clearing and balancing the chakras and listen to the messages that your body is bringing forward, that your higher self is being forward, because this is going to be a highly sensitive time. And that's what I got for the Mars retrograde channeling. I hope this helped. I hope this resonated. If you would like to book a twin soul reading with me, check out the description box below, guys. I do look forward to seeing you all again next time. Thank you.